Welcome to the night gallows. Creepy forest. Haunted mansion. Creepy apparition. Scary stalker. Welcome to the night gallows. Scary stories. The first story. The haunting highway. Jacob was a seasoned truck driver, accustomed to long hours on the road and the solitude that came with it. But nothing could have prepared him for the night he found himself driving down a seemingly endless stretch of road that was anything but ordinary. The moon was hidden behind thick clouds, casting an eerie pallor over the desolate landscape. Jacob's truck rumbled along the asphalt, the only sound in the stillness of the night. The GPS had led him onto a road he didn't recognize, one that wasn't marked on any of his maps. Now Jacob, with unease prickling at the back of his neck, but he pushed it aside, chalking it up to fatigue and also being emotionally stressed. Miles passed, and the road remained unchanged. The trees lining the highway were gnarled and twisted, their branches reaching out like skeletal sharp knives. Jacob's eyes began to play tricks on him, the shadows morphing into strange shapes that seemed to dance along the roadside. As he drove further and further into the unknown, he felt something getting closer and closer. Suddenly, Jacob's headlights caught something in the distance, a figure standing in the middle of the road. He slammed on the brakes, the screeching of tires slicing through the silence. The figure was a woman, dressed in a flowing white dress, her long hair wild and disheveled. Heart pounding, Jacob leaned out of the window. "Hey! Are you okay?" he called out, his voice trembling. The woman didn't respond. She just stood there, her gaze fixed on the horizon. Jacob's unease deepened as he climbed out of the truck and cautiously approached her. "Ma'am, are you lost?" he asked, his voice laced with concern. Still, she remained silent, her eyes vacant and distant. Jacob reached out to touch her shoulder, but as his fingers brushed her, an icy chill shot through him. The woman's head snapped towards him, her eyes now piercing and filled with an otherworldly intensity. Jacob stumbled back, his heart racing and Jacob almost fainting. He hurried back to his truck and slammed the door shut, his breath ragged. He tried to restart the engine, but to his horror, it sputtered and died. Panic surged through him as he realized he was stranded on this deserted road with a mysterious woman that is staring at him with dead eyes. As if in response to his fear, the woman began to move, her bare feet making no sound as she glided toward the truck. Jacob's pulse thundered in his ears as he fumbled for his phone, dialing for help. But there was no signal, just a chilling silence that seemed to stretch on forever. The woman reached the side of the truck, her face pressed against the window pane. Her eyes locked onto Jacob's, and he saw something in them, an ancient sadness, a longing that transcended time. She raised her disfigured six-fingered pale hand and tapped on the truck's window, her touch sending ripples of cold through the air. Desperation clawed at Jacob as he gripped the steering wheel, his knuckles turning white. He pounded on the dashboard, willing the truck to start. And then, as if answering his plea, the engine roared to life. Jacob wasted no time, flooring the accelerator and tearing down the road. But the woman didn't fade into the distance. She kept pace with the truck, her expression unchanging, her eyes fixed on Jacob's. He pushed the truck harder, the engine straining against the effort. The road stretched on endlessly, the surroundings warping and distorting as if in response to the woman's presence. With a final surge of determination, Jacob's truck burst through a wall of mist, the world beyond revealing a familiar landscape. He was back on a normal road, the moonlight illuminating his surroundings. He glanced in his rearview mirror, his heart pounding in his chest. But the woman was nowhere to be seen. Jacob's breath came in ragged gasps as he continued driving, his mind a whirlwind of fear and confusion. The memory of the haunting encounter would forever linger in his mind, a reminder that some roads hold secrets that defy explanation and haunt the hearts of those who dare to tread upon them. Second story. The Edge of Fate. Greg was a seasoned truck driver, crisscrossing the country's highways for years with an unwavering confidence in his skills. But on this fateful day, as he navigated a treacherous mountain pass, he found himself on the precipice of a disaster unlike any other. The sun was sinking low in the sky, casting a golden glow across the rugged landscape. Greg's truck hugged the winding road as he descended the steep incline, the weight of his cargo a constant reminder of the dangers that lurked around every bend. The drop-off to his right was sheer and unforgiving, a yawning chasm that beckoned like a hungry maw. As Greg maneuvered the curves with practiced precision, his hands steady on the wheel, a sudden gust of wind buffeted the side of his truck. The sudden force of the wind caused his trailer to sway, pulling the truck dangerously close to the edge of the cliff. Panic surged through him as he fought to regain control, his heart racing in his chest. The world seemed to slow as time stretched into a surreal dance of danger and survival. Greg's breath caught in his throat as he felt the truck's tires teeter on the very edge of the abyss. The abyss stared back at him, a yawning chasm that seemed to hold a mirror to his mortality. With every ounce of strength, Greg wrestled the wheel, his muscles straining against the weight of the truck. His heart pounded like a drum, each beat echoing the precarious balance between life and death. The wheels gripped the asphalt, and the truck slowly began to veer away from the cliff's edge. But the ordeal was far from over. The road continued its descent, the twists and turns demanding his utmost attention. Greg's hands were slick with sweat, his focus unwavering as he guided the truck through the treacherous path. The world outside seemed to blur, the fear and adrenaline merging into a singular, intense awareness. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Greg's truck emerged from the mountain pass onto level ground. He pulled over a turnout, his breaths coming in ragged gasps. The enormity of what had just transpired crashed over him like a wave, and he sat there for a moment, his hands still gripping the steering wheel, his heart gradually slowing its frantic pace. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the landscape, Greg stepped out of his truck. He walked to the edge of the turnout, gazing down at the cliff he had narrowly escaped. The abyss stared back, a silent reminder of the thin line that separates life from death. In that moment, a profound realization washed over Greg. He had danced on the edge of fate itself, staring into the abyss and emerging on the other side. The experience had shaken him to his core, reshaping his perspective on life, time, and the fragility of existence. With a newfound appreciation for every moment, Greg climbed back into his truck and continued his journey. But now, with the memory of that near-death encounter burning in his mind, Greg navigated each curve with a sense of humility and gratitude, knowing that every second was a gift and that the edge of fate was always lurking, waiting to remind him of its presence. If you enjoyed these stories, please give a like and subscribe for more haunting stories. And remember, you never know what might be standing behind you watching your every move.